far too free. I sound like a communist. Let's not confuse the two. But yeah, I think we're ready to go. This week we're gonna do competition and game shows we'd like to be on. Order for this week: it's gonna be Thomas, then it's gonna be me, and then it's gonna be Andrew. Tommy, I know we've waited a while to get this one going. Are you ready to get going?
Is that your intro? I mean,
Yeah, man. We took some time off. You want me to redo it? You want me to redo the intro?
No.
Wait, first of all, Thomas hasn't even.
He hasn't thrown it to me.
Thrown it to you.
That's true. I guess we're gonna have to cut this then. He's gonna have to throw it to me. Just remember to cut it at 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and everything before that is just trash. It's just trash, and only I'll ever get to watch it.
Get hype. Are you ready now?
Oh, I was born ready.
Some energy.
I have so much energy. I'm drinking coffee, and Michael's secret stuff.
All right, here you go.
All right. Wow, you are audibly again throwing it. You threw it like a discus. You threw it like an ultimate player. I'm not gonna try and catch it.
Why do I go through this effort if you're just
Here's
gonna be like?
If I try and catch what you're throwing, I'm definitely gonna knock my mic. I'm gonna fall out of this chair, and then we're gonna have to restart the recording. And I just don't want to do that. So you threw it my way. Let's say I caught it in my mouth like a dog. And this week we're gonna do competition and game shows that we'd like to be on. And we're gonna get started with Thomas, and then we're gonna move on to me, and then we are gonna end it with Andrew this week. Thomas, whenever you're ready, when you're not throwing things my way, when you're not, dogging on my lack of athleticism, it's all you, man.
Andrew, since I think you have a little more energy, can you throw it my way so that I can get started?
Oh my God.
I'll try.
Man, this really plays well on audio-only podcasts.
All right. So competition, reality, game shows that I want to be on. Most of these, I don't care what anyone says, I'm fairly confident I have like a 60% chance to win, which, is pretty good for my usual confidence level.
Those are decent odds.
Right? Those are actually pretty good odds, man. Like, I would bet on you if you told me going in that you thought 60% chance you're going to take home the crown.
Well, and to be fair, part of the reason is, and it goes with my number 5, is it's Fear Factor, but I'm talking like the early first couple seasons Fear Factor, like maybe Joe Rogan isn't even there yet, because like if you watch them, they really don't seem that difficult or that scary at all.
Oh, okay. This is a surprise to me. So just like a couple questions for you.
What's up?
Would you go skydiving? Not for Fear Factor, just in your life.
Do I have a drive to? No. Would I be willing to? Yeah. But that's not part
bungee jumping, the other like, just like extreme sport type things that people do. Would you like?
Do I want to go bungee jumping? No. But if for Fear Factor it was like, hey, bungee jump, like what other place is going to be so focused on not letting you die?
Not only not letting you die, but you do this thing and you win 50 G's. I mean, we all know Thomas's most extreme sport is golf, but for 50 G's, like there's a lot of things I'd be willing to do.
Yeah, so my second question was the other half of Fear Factor, which is, are you willing to eat bull penis?
Yes.
God damn it.
Because I feel like
every element of why this was going to be on my list, including bull testicles.
No, it's you give me a bug and I need you're like, hey, if you eat this, you have a chance to make money. Okay, I'll eat it, and then the next day I won't eat it again. Like I don't ever have to eat it again.
I mean, but you might like it.
Like I said,
you might eat it again.
You watch some of the old stuff, like it's like extreme activities, but like realistically, like a lot of it is luck. Like no one practices jumping from one truck to another. Like you just have to be semi-athletic. So if I was in my prime, I haven't peaked yet. I'm still peaking. You guys will know when I peak.
Worth noting. Worth noting that you're coming off of a knee surgery, not your first knee surgery.
When I peak.
So I would argue that you probably peaked a long time ago and you need to come to grips with it.
No, when I peak, if you took that version of me, saying plus or minus 6 years, and that person was on Fear Factor, That's an 80% chance to win.
Oh,
Yeah, now that I think
Again, this is like early for a factor.
now that I think about it, the like the eating stuff, I feel like you would be good for that because I feel like in high school you're the kid who if something was like on the floor and another kid was like, I'll give you like if you eat this on the floor, I'll give you, and then it's in your mouth before you even hear what they're gonna give you.
Okay.
Like you're like, yep.
Let's not make it sound like this was like a regular occurrence because I don't remember any occurrences of this. Yes.
I mean, it seems like a pretty clear example. Also, worth mentioning that of the three of us, you look the most like Joe Rogan. So after you're a contestant on the show, maybe you become a host of the show. Who's to say? I think you have a better chance to host a Fear Factor than you do as a contestant on Fear Factor.
That would be great because then years later you would have the most successful podcast in the world. So bring us along, please.
I do it on solo. But that's Fear Factor.
All right.
This next one, I don't think I could win it, but it just always seemed like a lot of fun. Like it's kind of just something I'd want to go do. And I actually sent in an application once because it was just online and you just send in your information and then I never got a call, whatever, not butthurt. Wipeout.
Okay.
I just think it'd be fun to run through the course. Again, I don't see myself winning that at all. It seems incredibly difficult and also like again kind of luck based because it's nothing you can really practice.
I mean, you can practice being an athlete.
I think most
Have you seen
most people watch Wipeout. Most people watch Wipeout and they're like, "Oh, this is so easy. Why does no one win it?" Like I could definitely bounce on these balls or something, but like I feel like every obstacle is super slippery or just like challenging in a way that it's not just like jump over this thing. It's like it's jump over this thing, but there's like three things like slicing at your body. Not slicing sounds like it's dangerous, but like padded mechanical things that are knocking you over. So I agree though. I think it would be a lot of fun to be on Wipeout.
I like that you say that anybody could win it or everyone thinks they could win it. I've never watched an episode of Wipeout and come away from it being like, yeah, I think I'd do okay on this show. Early on in the competition, I'd be like, nope, nuh-uh. I'm going to fall in like 7 different ways on the first obstacle.
Like it's definitely not as difficult and definitely not difficult in the same way as like something like Ninja Warrior by any means.
Sure,
but
sure.
It's like once you fall in the water, you're wet. Probably got water in your eyes. That can hurt. The obstacles are slippery. And everything is foam and rounded. That's not the best thing to be walking, running, and jumping on. Or jumping off of. Not super stable. So
not a ton of traction.
Again, it'd be just a lot of fun. They make fun of you, and I'm all here for that.
Gotcha. And just to be clear, these first 2 picks, these both fall in the category of you're giving yourself a 60% chance to win these.
Fear Factor, 60% chance. I said to my peak, an 80% chance. Wipeout, probably like a 30% chance. Especially if it's like a duo Wipeout with you sometimes, 20% chance. I don't work well with others.
So over the course of your list, it's all going to average out to 60%, and it's just coincidental that Fear Factor was 60?
Wipeout, I would say, is the one I have the least faith in myself winning.
And that's 30%, which is still a pretty high percentage for a show that most people lose.
Trying to have some self-confidence, all right? Don't beat me down.
I'd rather you didn't. I'd really rather you didn't.
Sorry. It's a great pick. Gonna get a lot of votes.
If this podcast was a competitive game show, your odds of winning would be below 30%. So, worth noting.
Way below 30%. Fear Factor in past results. Anyway, number 3 on my list. Again, like Fear Factor, this is if it's the early seasons. When I used to watch Big Brother, because I do think I could win Big Brother because 1, I'm likable. I don't care what anyone says. I'm likable as hell. 2, I can lie. Pretty good liar. 3, the early seasons, everyone was dumb. So, you just had to be kind of smart and you won. So, Big Brother.
Griffin, go ahead.
If the immediate follow-up to I'm likable is I don't care what anyone says. Are you likable? Or do you like you? Because that sounds like it's more like you, and I know you don't like you. So I'm trying to figure out through the ether who does like. I mean, like, I like you, Thomas. I like you. You're a good guy, but I don't
There's
know
a
if
vote
you
for
would
Big
thrive.
Brother.
I don't know if you would thrive in the Big Brother household.
They're
pretty cutthroat.
How does Big Brother work? I've never seen it.
So it's like Survivor, except they're in a house. If you took Real World and Survivor,
They never leave
together?
the house. They stay
It's
in
like
the
a
house.
it's
the
like
whole
a
time?
really suburban
In the house.
Survivor with like cameras everywhere. So they're basically just like watching everything all
there's
the
a
time.
yard.
Yeah.
It's like Big Brother is watching you. Yeah, you do everything in the house. There's like an outdoor area, but like you don't leave that. There's competition every couple days. There's a winner. Winner nominates 2 people. Everyone votes till the end, and then just like Survivor, if I remember correctly, the last 2 get voted on by jury.
Gotcha. And does the host like live in the house with them?
No, Julie Chen. No, she doesn't live in the house.
Okay.
She lives
All right.
outside the house in a studio with audience waiting outside the house for the invictee to come talk to them.
Yeah, no, this is just one of those shows that I mean about my whole life. Never really put it on. Never watched it. But I will say, we're talking about. I mean, you are a big brother. I don't know if that helps. You have a younger sister, and not only that, you're saying lying is a part of it. You're pretty good at lying to her specifically. I remember when you convinced her that you were on the JV basketball team at our high school. And
Why does everyone
she
know that
bought
story?
it.
Everyone
And
knows that story.
I don't know if that says more about her or you. I think her.
It says
yeah,
so
so
much about her
if-
because his lie was that he's on the JV basketball team. Which I assume, I don't know, I assume everyone that tries out makes.
It wasn't about currently being on the team, as that I previously was on the team.
Right. You created memories for her.
No, I am good with people when I try to be. And I'll stab someone in the back for $1 million. So what else do I need to win Big Brother?
I honestly do think that you would do, of the 3 of us, I think you would probably do the best on Big Brother. I don't know what that says, but I think that I would I'd get way too caught up in my own lies and things like it would be a house of cards. It would fall.
I think you would ask to leave.
Yeah, it'd
guys,
I'd have like a bad day and I'd be like, look guys, it's either you let me off the show or I'm walking to Bethany, and no one wants that.
You also would like try to overplay the game. Like you would try to lie about things that didn't need to be lied about. You'd be like making a sandwich, like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and they'd be like, "What are you doing, Griffin?" You'd be like, I'm making a quesadilla." Like you would purposely try to like piss people off just that.
I
way.
think there's
Like,
an
no
element.
apparent reason.
There's a potential possibility, and I'm going to put it out there, that being the crazy guy means that people are going to be afraid to vote you out all season, and things are just going to work out for you magically. I think I'd make the top 4. I don't think I'd win, but I'd make the top 4.
I could go one of 2 ways. Either they'd be like, "Oh, he's no competition. Let's keep him around, get him out later," or it'd be like, "I'm worried for my life. Let's get this guy out." Like, did they vet this guy?
So
Yeah.
To be clear, your number 3 pick, Big Brother, is more of a analysis of my mental state and my ability to be in a room with people that I'm not currently friends with. I like it. I like where we're going with this. Let's keep going.
Even if we were the other people in the house. Going on. Number 2. Number 2. Give myself a 65% chance for this one.
Okay.
But to be fair, the contestants will usually be hardcore. This is Guts.
Okay.
And it took you a long time to think of that, Griffin. Yeah, the contestants were usually like borderline prodigy athletes for kids, or they were like kayak. And I was like, when you're a kid, everyone's like, oh, kayak, that's sick. But it's like, this kid just kayaks. Like, it's not that cool. So it could go either way.
Yeah, it's like their parents
but
had like more money than the other kids in the neighborhood, so they like did things growing up.
I just, again, like, and this is looking back as not a teenager, but like, it really doesn't seem that difficult, a lot of it. And if you just like kind of smart and didn't, crumble under pressure, you'd be fine.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you think that you do really like pretty well on it, 65%, I think you said, but then you immediately followed it up with these kids were like legitimately good at what they were doing. But I guess it is worth noting that you are competing against children, and so they're like, yeah, you're probably just coming from a position of strength there.
The reason I appeared to be tuned out for a second was because I was Googling what the name of that mountain thing was at the end of the show, and it's called the Aggro Crag.
Right, yeah.
The crag. Yeah.
Yeah, the crag, yeah, and I forgot what it was called.
Yeah,
So,
I had to look it up too. I forgot.
That's a big time throwback. It's a good show.
I mean, I did think all the challenges and guts were fun, like were ones that would be fun to compete against. I don't give you that high of a chance to win, honestly, even if you're going up against children.
Just imagine, picture this. 2005. You turn on Nickelodeon. It's on. Sweet, let's watch. The crap, that's Thomas. I go to school with that guy. You see me at school the next week. I don't talk to you because I'm totally popular and super cool. My life is totally different if I'm on Guts. Totally different. I'm probably famous by now. On 3 podcasts, not just this one.
So now we're also
you'd be still carrying around that piece of the aggro crag that they give you when you win the show.
No,
but if you would just show up in the school and
carrying around, it'd be in my backpack, and then once I got 18, there'd be a giant aggro crag tattoo along my back. My front would just say Guts.
Yeah, you really missed your shot.
You did, and also I hate this version of Thomas that you're describing, but at the same time, I respect him more than I've ever respected you, because I feel like he's closer to me. Just like really, like just douchey back tattoos, and like I'm better than you, and like you're dealing with some stuff. Like you're definitely thinking about time travel a lot. All right. I like this pick. I don't think you 65%. I'd say, you know what, 50% chance. I think that's like one of the ones you got a decent shot at winning.
Like, I was a short kid, so that's a disadvantage, but also not, because those boulders come down from the aggro crag, low center of gravity,
right?
Not knocking me over,
right?
Not knocking me over.
I've never seen anything knock you over.
Jeans, no way.
No, you don't get knocked over.
I've seen a lot of things knocked.
No, you're like if a mountain was a person, but it was like a small mountain, and it was like a boulder, but it was like a shitty boulder. That's what you are.
You're and your knees kind of suck too.
Yeah, your knees are bad. Never mind. I'm dropping you down from a 50% to a 35%.
Cool. So my number one, and this is a 90% chance of me winning.
Okay.
Say 80 because it did 20% on my partner.
By all means, go on.
Really, I'm winning this shit.
Yeah.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
You're such a piece of shit. You're such a piece of shit. You're such a piece of shit.
I used to have my Green Monkey shirt. Got rid of it because Green Monkey's all about the purple parrots. But I mean, on there, get to meet Olmec, see if he's real or a robot. Still don't know to today. And like the competition, easy. And again, it's just like I said about, I think, Guts. As long as you don't crumble under pressure when you're in the temple, fine. Those kids were babies. Like it's the easiest. And when they have to stack the 3 pieces, how do you get that wrong? Big, medium, small. How do you get that wrong? These make me so angry.
So are you giving yourself an 80% chance, like the scenario you were talking about with Guts, where it's 2005 and you're, what, 12 years old?
Yeah,
or 80% chance now?
No.
Somewhere in the middle.
I'm not a 27-year-old going on Legend of the Hidden Temple. That's 100% chance I'm winning. a 12-year-old.
I'll be honest. I'll give you a better shot at 12 years old than now.
Yeah, dude, your legs are a mess.
I feel like, honestly, that doesn't just go for this pick. 12-year-old Thomas, I think, would go maybe 3 for 5 out of your picks. 27-year-old Thomas, maybe 1 for 5.
I think there's a lot of reasons why we wouldn't want to see 12-year-old Thomas on Big Brother. But I would watch that season. I would watch every episode.
He's just super uncomfortable for everyone else.
So uncomfortable. They would literally vote themselves off so they don't have to continue to hang out with a 12-year-old you.
Why wouldn't they just vote me off?
Because they're still like,
You really don't understand how Big Brother works.
I don't. I watched one season about 15 years ago, and it didn't make an impression on me.
And that's why you'd lose. Okay, recap. Number 5, Fear Factor, 60% chance of winning. About 30% chance. Big Brother, 60 to 75% chance. Depends how good looking the women are on there, if I get distracted or not.
Sure, of course it does. Why wouldn't it?
2, Guts. I'll say 65, like I said earlier. I mean, those kids crumble. I don't believe in pressure. Number 1, 80% chance with a random partner. If I get to choose my partner, that's closer to 100% chance. Legends of the Hidden Temple.
All right. I feel like I've said all I have to say about your list. I do think that you'd probably be competitive on some of those shows. Like, but I think you're maybe finishing in the top 4 for one of those shows. I don't think you're taking it all the way. And I mean, Fear Factor's only like 6 people. So if you're finishing in the top 4, great. You'd do okay. You'd do okay.
Yeah. So I think your list is pretty good. I will like 3.5 of your picks. I agree with that. They're cool. They would be cool to be on. Those being Legends of the Hidden Temple, Guts, and Wipeout, and then the half one being Big Brother because I haven't seen it. But like, if it's like a cool house, like I'd want to go there.
Usually share a room with like 4 people.
Yeah, okay. Well, still half, and then Fear
especially
Factor,
as a 12-year-old man, that's dicey.
Again,
Fear Factor, no.
Well, I don't care about your guys' opinions, so that's that.
There's nothing you care about more than our opinions.
I care about the crag more than
the aggro crag. Right. Okay.
I'm getting a Guts tattoo, so and I'm just gonna make people believe I was on the show.
Can't wait. That's gonna go over great.
Right on the heart.
Post-quarantine, going to bars, being like, "Yeah, I was on this show." Don't look it up. I was on it.
Would that be proof that you were on the show? That you have a tattoo of it? Like they tattooed all these children after they were on the show.
Most people think that I was in Star Wars too because I have a Star Wars tattoo.
No one knows
how that works.
Is. I'm just you guys are haters. That's what it comes down to. You couldn't make it on Guts, and I feel bad for you. Next.
I definitively could not make it on Guts, and that's why it's not on my list. The number 5 pick on my list, I'm going to continue right where Thomas left off. It's going to be Legends of the Hidden Temple. I'm not going to take something off my list this week that somebody else picked because I think that I would dominate Legends of the Hidden Temple. It's, for anyone that didn't watch it back in the day, 6 teams, all like color and animal. I think that's kind of where I would do poorly. Like I would forget which colored team I'm on. And I would be like helping out the wrong teammate or something like that. But for that very reason, I was always a red Jaguars guy. Only color that I'm working with here. And I would not be competing as a 12-year-old. This is like the modern day reboot, still made up of children. And I lied about my age to get on. So I'm a 28-year-old man. And I'm competing against, if I remember correctly, like preteen children. They were like 10. Even as an unathletic adult, I'm miles more athletic than some stupid little kid and his stupid little friends. So I'm going to crush these kids. And also, I can stack things based on size pretty quickly. Like the Thomas pointed it out. That's not a worry of mine. One's bigger than the other, and one's bigger than all of them. Like what? How is that a struggle? The kids on that show clearly had learning disabilities and were little weaklings, and I would jack them up. It wouldn't be a competition. If they had like a end of season champions thing, I would win that too. I would win every year. It's my number 5 pick. I'm gonna call on you, Thomas.
You're going 28-year-old and on the show. Are you getting the same prizes as they's got? Because like, they really weren't that good of like prizes, but also they were clearly for 10, 11, 12-year-olds.
I feel like one year they got tickets to like Space Camp because like back in the day Nickelodeon really advertised Space Camp. I would love to go to Space Camp.
Wouldn't let you, a 28-year-old man, go to Space Camp for kids.
Yeah, I'd convince all the kids that I'm an astronaut.
I hope they reboot it and this exact scenario plays out and you just end up at Space Camp with your competitors and you guys are just like on a field trip all together and there's like a there's like a chaperone because they're all underage and then there's you and I hope hope this happens for you. But
thank you, man.
I still don't think you would win it all. You might win it all. You might win a show, but you wouldn't win the Tournament of Champions. No way.
I still would. Here's the only I give myself a 99% chance of winning. And the one situation that I don't think that I win is I'm on the same week that Thomas happens to be on. Thomas is kicking my ass. I'm competing against another full-bodied male. It's not even a competition. They could cut off both of his legs, and he's just going to do better than me at it. I just know that.
But then he wouldn't be full-bodied.
All right, well, that's ableist of you.
But also, like, I clearly said I'd go on as, like, a child.
Honestly, 12-year-old Thomas might beat me too. That kid probably had some gumption. He had some stones. He was recently on Big Brother. Clearly, he's a talented kid.
He's got experience.
Yeah, he's doing the game circuit. Okay, so my first pick, number 5, Legend Hidden Temple. My second pick, I will be an adult competing against other adults for this one. Is The Amazing Race, and I do feel like I need to specify that I'm going to be an adult competing against adults. It's going to be The Amazing Race. And part of this, I really haven't watched that much of The Amazing Race. I kind of always think of The Amazing Race, and instead I just think of the movie Rat Race. And like that's which
is
also
that the one that's Just Friends?
Yeah, the Just Friends cinematic universe. Yeah.
I've seen that.
It's a great movie, but that's what I think of when I think of The Amazing Race, and I think that I would thrive in that kind of environment. Kind of the biggest failure for me when it comes to The Amazing Race is all of the like vehicle focused aspects of it, which is a big part of that show. And worth pointing out as a 28-year-old man, I do not have a driver's license, so I'm very much going to be relying on my teammate to kind of carry me to victory. But, and I've always felt this way, between their, travel abilities and my banter and willingness to stay up pretty much all the time and just talk people to death, I think that I'd become a fan favorite through, like, just annoyance alone. And I don't think that I would win The Amazing Race. I will say that. I don't think that I would win it. But I think that we'd make it pretty far.
Banter help people win The Amazing Race? Again, this is a show I've seen it more than Big Brother, but not really very much.
Does annoyance win fans over?
Yes.
No, I think quite the opposite.
Definitely. Look at like 90% of the stuff that's
on the TV.
The fact that The Big Bang Theory was on TV for like 15 years.
Wait, hold on. Do you all want to talk again at the same time? Or
I'm gonna have Andrew go. Andrew, you go.
I forgot what I was going to say. You go.
Okay, I'll go. The fact that The Big Bang Theory was on TV for like 15 years proves to me that the American public does want to consume annoying people in big quantities, and there's a very real chance that even if I don't win The Amazing Race, I'm getting a spin-off sitcom because of it. Me and whoever my partner is. I assume Sean Taylor.
I feel like you have your timeline wrong. Big Bang Theory on 15 years. Get out of here. I don't think the American
10
people
years?
like annoying. I think American media likes annoying. And so people still hate you.
Who would you say consumes American media?
Dogs.
Got it. Cool. No doubt.
I think that having annoying characters is important for ratings, but I think they know that, knowing that the reason people are tuning in is to root against the annoying characters. So that's what would be happening with you. The
That's
other
fine.
problem I have with you on The Amazing Race, you touched on it, was your lack of a driver's license. Because if a camera crew is following you around, and I guess, yeah, again, you're relying on your teammate, but assuming you're the one who's in charge of getting you somewhere, camera crew would just be like on you while you're like looking at your phone waiting for an Uber, like in different parts of the world.
I would watch that show.
It doesn't matter if you watch it, you're the one on it. Also, first time ever in List Night history right here, I was wrong. Big Bang, 12 years, 12 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you said it wasn't. I said 15 seasons, so we'll cut the difference. It was on for a long time. It was on longer than it deserved, and also now young Sheldon is on. So the American people, I just have no respect for him.
Also,
that's a great take when you're trying to build a podcast. And cool.
Yes, they're watching.
I have respect.
They're watching young Sheldon and not the List Night podcast. Clearly, something has gone wrong in the American educational system.
I just don't think you do well in Amazing Race. Don't.
That's fine.
That's that.
Like I said, I don't think I'd win it.
Grown-up Griffin, young Griffin, all Griffins.
It would be weird if it was young Griffin, because there are no kids on that show, and at a certain point you'd have to be like exactly. You'd have to be like, did his partner kidnap him? Is this like he's away from his parents kind of thing?
What is the relationship between you and your partner?
The Amazing Race, Amber Alert.
Oh, God.
Spin-off.
Last one season.
Hopefully less than a season. Hopefully they catch him.
Okay. All right. I gotta get together for this next pick. The idea of Amazing Race, Amber Alert really did something to me. So normally, I will say this, normally this next pick coming up would be Fear Factor. But the reasons that Thomas gave were almost to the word the exact reasons that I had. Like, I talked about heights. I talked about bull testicles. I talked about having to only do it one time and then being able to move on. So rather than doing Fear Factor, I'm instead going to say Wheel of Fortune.
So quite the 180. Quite the 180.
Yeah. It's almost the opposite show.
So here's my thing is foundation of this podcast, of this thing we created before BuzzFeed called List Night, is that put your top 5. You just constantly substitute. Clearly, it's not your top 5. You just constantly substitute.
He's playing to the crowd.
I'm a hugely indecisive person. And also, like, we could be like, yeah, Griffin thinks that he'd crush at Fear Factor because based on what Fear Factor was like as a show, I would. I don't understand how anyone wouldn't crush at Fear Factor. Have less fears. Come on. But I don't want to just repeat what you're saying. So, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to hang out with Pat Sajak and Vanna White.
But the thing is, you're really repeating what Andrew's saying since he asked the questions about the bull penis. But also, you're trying to be like Andrew and find loopholes, and you're just really bad at it.
You just wait for my loophole this week.
Oh, man. Can't wait for some show that's not even a real show yet, that's like being optioned. And Andrew's like, well, I can't lose it because they haven't made it yet. And if that's actually what he ends up saying, I'm the smartest man that's ever lived, which is going to play into one of my later picks.
I mean, we should be clear. Talk about shows that we want to be on. Yeah. If we can win them, is just a bonus. I mean, that is a good reason to want to be on the show. I badly want to be on Wheel of Fortune. I've always wanted to be on Wheel of Fortune. I think everyone should want to be on Wheel of Fortune. It just seems like a good time.
I'm confident. Oh man, Wheel of Fortune last night, I don't know if you guys saw it, was intense. I'm confident I know at least one, if not two, of Andrew's picks.
Yeah, probably a good shot.
This is a dumb pick because it's not actually your number 3.
All right. Well, yeah, Wheel of Fortune. I'm hanging out with Vanna White. She's going to teach me the secrets of eternal youth. And Pat Sajak will hopefully, at the end of the episode, take me under his wing. And I'll be a taller, less handsome, less likable game show host one day. That's what Wheel of Fortune's going to do for me. I don't know if I'd win it because so much of it is luck.
Yeah, so there's, I like the pick. The problem is there's one reason and one reason only to want to be on Wheel of Fortune, and you did not choose that reason, and that reason is because of the wheel. It's in the name.
Yeah.
You grow up wanting to spin that wheel. I want to know how heavy it is. I want to know how hard it is to spin. I want to feel those handles on the wheel. I want to spin that wheel. So, and that's the reason to be on Wheel of Fortune.
I feel like you're thinking about the wheel.
Feel the handles
in a really physical way.
Can't a guy on this podcast just love a wheel?
No, you can't. I will say, I get what you're saying about the wheel, but for me, it was the Price is Right wheel. Wheel of Fortune wheel, I get it, but it's like you can make one at home for the same amount of money and still win.
So just so it's clear for the listeners back home, you guys would rather play with the wheel on Wheel of Fortune or The Price is Right than, have a fun-filled evening with Vanna White and Pat Sajak. That's what I'm led to believe.
Because
okay,
you know the kind of things they're into. We're not getting into it. What's your number 2?
I badly want to know the kind of things that they're into. They've been on TV for a long time. They've got money, and they've probably got some vices.
You're talking about Pat White and I thought you were talking about the wheels. Okay, gotcha.
Andrew's got a weird thing for wheels. I'm uncomfortable.
All right. Number 2 on my list, I just referenced it a little bit, is going to be, are you smarter than a 5th grader? And again, I will be, obviously, because this show is built around adults competing against children. In my personal estimation, kids are fucking stupid, because at one point I was one and I remember being fucking stupid. And at the very least, I think I'm slightly less stupid, and at most significantly less stupid than them. And I think that I would outsmart them and out-trivia them because they were born in, 2010. So they haven't really even, done anything yet. And after the show, I'd take their parents out for a steak dinner and some cocktails and maybe an evening that they didn't quite expect. A lot of this is so that I can make friends. I'm making friends with people on these shows.
Sounds like a lot like me in the last episode.
It is,
which is not a good thing.
Your pitiful behavior.
I did win, by the way. I did win.
You crushed. Your pitiful behavior last week really made me realize how badly I want to turn competitive things into an excuse for me to have a social life.
And my pitiful behavior also got me a win, so maybe that's what you're going for here.
I don't think I'm.
I am. No, sorry, Tom. So you go ahead. You go first.
This didn't even cross my mind. I never really watched the show. Never crossed my mind. I just remember Andrew and I used to play in Bleep Bleep's basement. And I feel like it was hard.
Nice name.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't say Bleep's name on here, and why would I bleep it out later when I can just bleep it now?
Sure. This is
their name was fucking fuck.
Yeah.
Our favorite friend growing up.
You're not dumb.
Thank you.
I don't know. I mean, I never really cared for the show, I guess. And again, what makes you think these parents, kids who you just humiliated on stage would want to go to dinner with you?
I think it's just it's a polite thing. I just beat up your kid verbally in front of millions of people back. Probably not millions. I can't imagine Jeff Foxworthy was pulling millions of viewers. Probably a couple 100,000.
Well, he probably was.
You think so? I guess that was kind of the height of his power.
It was popular when it first came out. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So I embarrass your kid in front of millions of people. Let's go hash it out over drinks, and we'll just see where the evening goes.
I just think there's a multitude of trivia shows I'd rather be on before Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm glad.
I don't think I would win those.
glad that somebody brought up Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, because I had it on my long list. I took it off, but I did want to talk about it because I feel like all of us and anyone who is an educated adult should be able to win Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader. The problem is that they would always throw in some like the most obscure one question that like I'm calling bullshit on any fifth grader knowing, besides the ones that are on the show, like the child prodigy geniuses that are on the show. So I feel like it's going to end one of two ways. Either you're going to win the money. I don't remember what the total prize money was, or you're going to have a good argument. Like, fuck this show. They just put in a bullshit question that no fifth grader actually knows. So
sure. Like, there's a new way that they do math. Go ahead.
Who changes math?
Right.
These are not the same kids on Legends of the Hidden Temple. So like, these kids may hear a story, they actually remember all the facts about it, unlike the idiots on Legends of the Hidden Temple.
So we agree the kids on Legends of the Hidden Temple clearly had stuff that they were dealing with. And that's how I'm going to phrase it.
I gave myself like an 80 to 100% chance to win it.
Yeah, okay. They had stuff they were dealing with, just so we're all clear. All right.
And I was a semi-gifted and talented child.
Yeah, but you didn't go to a smart school like Andrew. Fucking nerd.
My mom reminds me every week.
I believe that. I do believe that. So does mine. Moving on to my number one.
She's always like, "Thank God you're not like Andrew."
Oh damn. Moving on to my number one pick, which isn't about bullying Andrew. This pick, might get me some votes for people that don't listen to the pod, but if they do listen to the pod, here's the most important thing to know about this pick. I've never watched this show. And everything that I've picked up about it, I've picked it up via Twitter and my group chat of guys who are heavily into the cinematic universe based around this show and those like it. My first pick is The Bachelorette. Not The Bachelor, but The Bachelorette.
Before you start, you would never be the Bachelor, and you would not win the Bachelorette. No.
See, I do agree that I would never be the Bachelor, but I think I've got a better shot at winning the Bachelorette than being the Bachelor. And if I was the Bachelor, really the only criteria for winning the show is be the Bachelor. And at that point, like, what am I even doing? Like, I'm winning every single week. That's boring. Based on what I know about this show, the people on it appear to be pretty vapid, self-centered, and they all seem to think that they're like 11s out of 10 when really they're like 7.5s with TV makeup on. That's me. I'm vapid. I'm self-centered. I, with TV makeup, would be an 11 out of 10 just by virtue of being tall and having really great bone structure. Have you seen these cheekbones? They're high. They're elegant. I would look so good on TV. But those people, they all go into it not realizing that. But me, I'm self-aware. I know that I suck. I know that I'm self-centered. I know that I'm not that handsome, but I do have great cheekbones. And so I would whine, and I'd dine, and I'd wheel, and I'd deal, and I'd get the Bachelorette to want to marry me, which of course I would not do, just like everyone else coming off of that show, because no one on that show ever actually married. Like, I don't think they ever actually marry each other. I think that they usually break up after like 6 to 8 weeks, and then they
There are some like screaming Bachelor and Bachelorette fans screaming at their screens right now at you. But
yeah, well, I hope they make sure that they follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and they subscribe to our YouTube, and they follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I hope they do all those things to see what other hot takes I have about The Bachelor and The Bachelorette later on. But I think that, like everybody else in that show, I'd be able to pivot into a life in the tabloids until at least my early 40s. And if I play my cards right, maybe I get to be a daytime soap actor, or I get my own reality show. And I mean, that's winning. In some ways, that's love.
Okay.
But it's definitely winning.
Okay, a number of thoughts here.
Yeah.
Number one, it sounds like you just want to Dennis system The Bachelorette. That's like what your end goal is.
Everyone
number
on
two,
The Bachelorette is Dennis systeming The Bachelorette. That's what it is.
Okay. That's a decent point. Number two, I feel like the biggest reason you would not be accepted to be on The Bachelorette is because unless you become a full-time podcaster, I don't know that your job is interesting enough. I feel like at this point in that show, it's like you have to be like it's the weirdest job in the world. You got to be like a horse whisperer / giraffe choreographer in order to be on that show.
Andrew,
That's the only way you get on.
You may have forgotten.
You have a crazy person. What?
I'm going to space camp, and I'm going to convince them that I'm an astronaut.
Yeah, I mean that's your best bet, to convince them that you go to space camp with the rest of the Legends of the Hidden Temple crew. But forgot the last thing I was going to say. It'll come back to me. Thomas, you go ahead.
Man, we might want to record this separately because I have a lot to say. So I'm gonna go through quick. Griffin,
is this going to do some damage to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, some of them won't. Much like I said,
You're on the
Big
first
Brother,
floor, right?
Oh God. Much like Big Brother, I don't think you would last in the house. Oh.
Me, that hurt. Oh, I'm in a lot of pain. Okay,
Okay, since
I can't wait to drink some tea.
Continue after I was rudely interrupted.
Yeah. Continue with bullying.
Much like I said on Big Brother for you, I don't think you would want to stay in that house because, yeah, you're like those guys, but you don't want to be around those guys. Why would you want to be around those guys? I think you would lose it. You, not ugly, bud. I want the body to be on The Bachelorette. You know how many shirtless scenes they have? Yeah, you like having your shirt off, but like these guys just look like Jared. All right, they don't look like you.
So we're not believing Jared's name?
Yeah, he signed the consent papers.
Yeah, cool.
I lost some of my other thoughts, to be honest, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, I don't think you'd actually enjoy being on this show at all. How have you never watched it? It's a pregame to this.
I've watched The Bachelor. I've watched The Bachelor. I've never watched The Bachelorette.
Oh, it's the same thing, just different sexes.
So the last
So
thing I
it's
was
not
going
the
to say
same
on this
thing.
was that the last thing I was going to say on this was that it doesn't surprise me, honestly, that you chose The Bachelorette over The Bachelor, because I feel like for you, it's definitely, number one, not about finding love. We've determined that already. Number two, I actually, in this case, I don't think it's even about the sex. Like that's not what you're in this for. What you're in this for is winning and to be victorious. So of course you chose The Bachelorette, not The Bachelor.
I feel like you'd be better off being on, which was a dumb show since you only got one season out of it. Millionaire, it was called, where they made the girls believe the Bachelor was a millionaire. And at the end, he was like, well, "I'm not a millionaire. I'm a construction worker. Do you really love me?" I was like pre-Bachelor.
Did the audience know that ahead of time?
Yeah. It was like
I think I just saw a preview for it once and never.
I feel like that probably has the same chance of success in the post. Like when the show's over, they'll probably be like, "Yeah, no, I love you. I could love anybody." And then the show ends, and 6 to 8 weeks later, he's doing construction, and she's dating an NBA player. Like that's just the way that I assume it plays out.
That's fair. I don't think you would enjoy being on The Bachelorette.
Sure.
Like yourself, so why would you want to be around people like you?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I do disagree with you because I would win, but I get where you're coming from with your perspective on why I would not.
Yeah. So give your quick recap.
Yeah, quick recap. Legends of the Hidden Temple was my number 5. Excuse me. The Amazing Race. Wheel of Fortune was my number 3. Number 2 was Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And number 1, the one that I'm most confident in winning, The Bachelorette. Also the one that I'd like to be on the most, because I can pivot it into the most opportunities.
All right.
I mean, that's a good point. That That is the show that pivots the most into social media and TV opportunities, I'd say, at this point.
Yeah, which is a decent reason to be in it, especially when you're as vain as you are.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm excited for my list. I feel pretty good about mine. A little bit of my usual borderline cheating in there at one point, but it's not. It's not. I'll be honest. It's not that egregious this week. It's really not.
Oh,
but it
I'm
does
glad
exist.
You, the one doing it, is saying it's not egregious.
Yeah.
But okay. Number 5. I stuck with Nickelodeon game show, classic Nickelodeon game show, but not one that you guys have mentioned so far. Double Dare or Double Dare 2000. So I just thought this show was really cool. I thought it brought like the best aspects of what Nickelodeon was at the time to a game show. Lots of slime, lots of like gross out humor, but not really gross out. It's just basically slime everywhere, and different challenges that I thought were pretty fun and that I could do pretty well in. I also liked that there was that one event where they had a hamster wheel you had to run on. That seemed fun. I don't know if you remember that.
Dude, you have a weird thing with wheels.
The wheels, yeah. Okay. Slide right by that. The only downside to Double Dare over the others is that you do kind of like Family Feud or something. You depend on your family to do well too. So whoever you come on the show with, I think it was always families. So like, I have faith in my family that they could do pretty well, but it's just a lot of moving parts, a lot of extra factors. So there's the only chance I would lose would be because of them.
Oh, I really thought you were going to say something more along like I have to be on with my family, and I hate that. And I was like, whoa, this is news. This Double Dare on Double Dare 2000 was like my 6 or 7. Like it was definitely up there. All the reasons you said. I don't like fully remember gameplay. Like there was no like trivia. There was all those like competitions, right? Like slimy competitions.
No, there was. It was like they would do a quick round of like a quick Jeopardy style quiz or something. Like, and then between the round, there's only like a couple questions, I think, and then they would have like the big like physical challenges or whatever it was.
It was like a mix of like Family Feud and something else. Was it 5 people in the family?
I think it was 4,
Damn.
but I'm not positive.
Say if the Simons need to adopt someone to go on, you know.
Right.
I won Guts as a kid, so that's my resume.
And Legends of the Hidden Temple as an adult.
I like it.
You guys both rocking the matching water bottles again this week.
Bros.
We do what we do.
Bros.
I mean, it's the classic Nickelodeon pick. I like it.
Yeah. I'm a little surprised it didn't end up on either yours, but at least you guys both included some Nickelodeon. So
honestly, I'll be honest. I've never seen it. I don't even know anything about it. I'm sure I've heard of it, but this was during the like pre-cable era for me. Legends of the Hidden Temple was like one of the ones that I like watched at other people's houses or at my grandparents' house. Dare, I don't know anything about it.
That's look. To be fair, like Legends of the Hidden Temple might have stopped making new ones by the time we were watching it. Like by the time we were old enough to be on it, I should say. Double Dare, they were still making it when we were like, it was geared towards us.
Yeah. All right. Number 4 is The Price is Right. We're just going to continue with the wheel stuff.
Yeah, we knew that was going to happen.
Honestly, I had in my notes for this one. It was between this and Wheel of Fortune because of the wheels. And
what's going on with you guys in the wheels? So, it's like a fetish at this point. You're with him. You're with him.
It's just me, but no, it's I think it's a cool wheel to spin. But okay, so the reason I chose it over Wheel of Fortune, why it made my list, Wheel of Fortune didn't. First of all, Wheel of Fortune is just Hangman. I think it's kind of boring. I don't think it's that exciting. But second of all, you don't need to know what you're doing on The Price is Right. because the audience just tells you what the right answer is, or what they like. You just put your hand up, and the audience will cheer if they think that's the right number to choose, or and then they'll boo if it's not. So you can go in there not knowing the prices of anything, and the audience can just will your way to give you the best shot that you would have had, even going in blind.
You're putting a lot of faith in the audience, but
Really
I mean, I totally get it. It's a pretty safe pick. Would you go on Drew Carey's Price is Right?
You know he would.
Yes, I would go on Drew Carey's Price is Right.
Drew Carey and Wheels. That's what you like.
So
that I know that's probably my least popular opinion in the world, is that I would choose the Drew Carey version over Bob Barker's version. But I just, Drew Carey's a hero of mine, so
sad.
I'd probably choose
it's
Drew
interesting
Carey.
that you
have more
mentioned
connection to him.
It's interesting that you mentioned that it's a far less boring show than Wheel of Fortune, which I do get the perspective on. It's also worth mentioning that you can be on The Price is Right and be a contestant on it and never get to actually participate in the game. Taryn and some of my family members were on it once, and you're a contestant, but you're just sitting in the crowd the entire time hoping that your number is going to get called. So there's a very real chance that you get to be on The Price is Right, and the entire time you're just an audience member. At which point, Wheel of Fortune, I'm going into it knowing that I'm going to spin that wheel, which I am coming around on as a big factor for me.
Okay, nice, but I'm kind of, maybe this isn't what I was thinking about when I said I was cheating, but maybe I'm cheating a little bit more, because I'm assuming that I'm one of the 4 that gets called down. Because when you go to
fine.
If you don't get called down, I consider you just part of the studio audience. Like Wheel of Fortune has a studio audience, and all of them have a 0% chance of coming on the show. At least if you're in the studio audience on Price is Right, you have a 1% chance, right? I mean,
sure, yeah, I get that. Tommy, you're again raising your hand.
If you're in the audience of Wheel of Fortune, I wouldn't say you have a 0% chance of being on the show, because if you're a family member of one of the contestants, they'll show you at the end, and then maybe if they win, you get to run up and see the new car. So not 0.
Okay. Yeah, it's a flaw in my argument.
Also, hey, somebody trips walking out to go to the wheel. They're like, oh man, I tore my knee. I need to get knee surgery. Someone in the audience needs to replace me. We can't pay for this day of taping. You're on the show now.
Like, hey, who's good with wheels?
Andrew. I would say Andrew.
I agree. My first thought when he said Price is Right was just assuming that you get up on stage. Like, you're on the show. Not just you're on the show.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say on The Price is Right is I feel like it would be cool to know that you're playing a part in curing every illness that every kid from school is currently infected with, because everyone knows that watching The Price is Right is the best cure for those sicknesses.
That's a fact.
I feel like cure is not the right word.
I feel like I'd be a doctor after I was on the show. I feel like
I don't think you would be. I don't think that there's anything
how that.
Agree to disagree.
I don't think The Price is Right is the equivalent of medical school, but what do I know?
Number 3. So, growing up, I did have cable TV. No big deal. And one of my favorite stations on cable TV was Game Show Network. And
you're a nerd.
A lot of the shows that Game Show Network would play were old game shows from the 1970s. I loved all of them. I had to include one on my list. And I don't know if the one that I chose is going to make for a great conversation. I don't know how much of it you guys have seen, but it's the Match Game, specifically from the 1970s. So that show was basically just 6 B-list celebrities, and B-list is being very generous. It was more like C, D-list celebrities. And they would just come on, get really drunk, and make jokes, like fill in the blank type questions, but they were all innuendos. So it was all like sexual innuendos or something like that. And they would try to match the contestants with their answers based on the fill in the blank scenarios. And I feel like it would be a great time to be on there with my other C and D list celebrity friends to get drunk and just play that game. So I'm kind of assuming that I am one of the celebrities on the show. But if I needed to be a contestant, which I guess is more within the lines of the rules of this list, that's fine too. I think that would also be fun.
So again, well, I'll say this, and then I have a question. We just want to do what we normally do when we hang out, but it be on TV, which is just drink and play some game and make dumb jokes.
Yeah.
What are you a C or D list celebrity for?
I haven't thought this far. You know what? I'm gonna take that back. I'm just one of the contestants on the show. I'm not.
I would be on the show following my time on The Bachelorette as a C or D list celebrity. So Andrew and I would both be on the show.
Yeah. So I mean, you got the idea. That's the type of people that are the celebrities on the show. Like someone who made it far in one season of Bachelorette or something, like 8 years ago. Yeah.
I mean, I have nothing like bad about it. I mean, it's boring, but it's a boring pick. But like I
it seems boring. I don't think it's going to get me a lot of votes. Or on Instagram, Twitter, and stuff. But again, onto that boomer demographic, which, as of this taping, is still only my dad. He has friends. He has a lot of friends. So
I do hear he has friends. Yeah, more friends than you. Maybe he should be on the show.
I'm for it.
Number two is another all-time favorite of mine because I think it's one of the funniest shows to ever exist, and it's along the lines of Thomas's pick, Wipeout Xc, Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. It used to be on Spike back in the day. It's a dubbed American version of an old Japanese game show, I think from 90s, 80s, 90s, called Takeshi's Castle, and it was basically, I mean, I think more people know about MXC than know about Match Game for sure. But I just thought the challenges on MXC were hilarious. Some of them I'm very confident that I could do. I like the one where you swung on the rope and then you were wearing a Velcro suit and you had to stick yourself to the Velcro wall. That one always looked really fun or painful. Mostly, I just want to be on that show because I feel like it's good entertainment for the viewers. It was hilarious.
Big time.
Doing it for the viewers. Yeah. I will say, I feel like swinging yourself onto a target is harder than it looks. Also, yeah, when I said earlier, I could guess one of your picks. You said something earlier, I forget what it was, and I was like, oh, it's going to be XC. Which, yeah, I mean, it's this one, I would say, is not about winning. It's just the fact that it would be fun and entertaining for everyone.
So, kind of on the same page as Thomas. When he said Wipeout, the way you reacted to it, I actually had very briefly confused Wipeout with MXC. I had one set of episodes of MXC on DVD, which is a really random thing. But when I was a teenager, one of my friends they turned 18, and they bought porn for the first time, and excuse me, they gave it to me as a gift for some reason, I don't know, and they gave it to me in an MXC box with an MXC DVD over it. I thought they were giving me, they may have been giving me just the MXC thing or whatever, and not realize that the porn was still in the box. But yeah, they gave me a box with 2 discs in it. One of those discs was porn, and one of those discs was MXC. And let me tell you, I enjoyed both of them. I feel they were both quality content. I probably watched the MXC way more. It's a good show.
Which did you?
So
you know which one I enjoyed. I watched the MXC.
The only time I watched MXC was at Andrew's house. It's probably the only reason I know about it. I cannot say the same about porn, but MXC was the only thing I watched.
I'm really, really, really glad that you cannot say you only watched porn at Andrew's house, because that would just raise a lot of questions.
I feel like it was Dunstan Checks In or MXC at Andrew's house.
They have a VHS of Dunstan Checks In.
Great movie.
I don't know why that was a movie that we watched.
Second time this week that movie has come up in conversation for me.
Weird.
Really? Okay.
All right, number one. I think I know what your number one is.
I also, side note before I go to my number one, I still want to do a Halloween where I get a group and dress up as people from MXC. There was the two commentators that were both hilarious. The captain, who is the guy who would have a full captain's uniform, and he would be like, "Well, let's go," before every show. And then
what would you do?
"Well, let's go."
That seems like my spot.
That's
and
definitely
then,
Thomas. I feel like he's got a captain's hat and everything.
My favorite was the on the field reporter. His name was Guy Ledouche.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
Cool. So number one, this is the one where you guys can decide whether I'm cheating, but I don't care. Points are awarded, so it's a game show. Show in my book. You know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Whose line is it anyway? It's my number one. If it even kind of fits the description of the category of list that we're doing, it's going to be my number one. You guys know this, but not all the listeners know this. It's my favorite show of all time.
All of our current listeners know this.
It's probably my favorite thing of all time. I love improv comedy more than anything because of this show. And that's all there really is to say, other than that I could hang out with Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, Wayne Brady, and Drew Carey.
I was going to say Drew Carey.
And if I'm the fourth chair on this show, that means that I'm a professional improviser. And then all my dreams have been fulfilled.
Making $38,000 a year.
So, no real surprise with this one. I'm not going to argue against it because they do announce a winner at the end. You know, points are given; they just don't really matter. And I also love the show, so I mean, yeah, I mean, it's loose, but I'll say it fits the definition. So a weird thing about Wheels and Drew Carey, but whatever.
Andrew, when we decided on this topic, I knew that this was going to be your number one, and so I don't disagree with it being a game show. It fits the bill, even if it doesn't have a traditional winner each week. Like, that's fine. It still is enough of a game show. I know how badly you would want to be friends with those people. Getting back to your weird need to use this podcast as a vehicle to make friends, and it's also
unique friends.
It's just what the Drew Carey love that you've expressed in your list is more than like Drew Carey's wife has probably expressed. Like, I don't think he would make a top 5 list for her, but he's twice on yours. That said, I do like Drew Carey, and I hope the Drew Carey show is available streaming at some point in my life, because it sucks that it's not.
I hope they bring it back. I hope they do one of those reboots that they're doing for every other show in the world.
It's a quality show.
I hope Drew Carey comes on this show.
I mean, what else is he doing?
Yeah.
Price is Right.
That would be a dream. And let me just last say on Whose Line. The CW has done a worse job marketing that show than any station and any show in the world. I still run into people where when I talk about Whose Line, they're like, "Oh, I missed that show. That was my favorite show." It has been rebooted and back on the air since 2013. It's been going 8 seasons of the reboot, which is just as many seasons as the original on ABC and ABC Family.
Is it still
and
Aisha
people
Tyler?
still don't know that. What's that?
Is it still Aisha Tyler hosting it?
Aisha Tyler's the host, yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, I remember how hyped you were when they announced that it was coming back, and they hyped it like they announced it like a year plus in advance, and I think that must have been the best year of your life.
To go with that, Andrew, I did not realize they were still making it.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do a bad job, and not only that, it kind of pisses me off because they just use the show as a tool to promote their other shows. That's the entire reason they have Whose Line on there, and they keep bringing it back year after year. A, because it gets better ratings than all their other shows, because it's still funny. B, because they just, you know how they used to bring down people from the audience? Instead of doing that, they bring down, like, again, B and C list celebrities that are stars of other CW shows to promote those shows.
It also doesn't cost.
So that's why the CW probably will never cancel it, because it doesn't cost them anything to make, really.
It's a super cheap show.
Salaries.
Yeah, and they can just use it to promote their other shows. So I just wish they did a better job of health promotion.
Me too. Like I
and
said,
doing some of the things that the original version did, like more audience participation and things like that.
yeah. Like I said, I knew they rebooted it and I watched it. I did not realize it was still going. Yeah. So
that's my list.
Okay.
Number
when
5.
The CW,
there.
when the CW
Sorry?
sponsors this podcast, I hope they bring you on the show. I feel like that'd be the culmination of everything you've ever wanted.
Yeah, that would be a successful life for me.
Yep.
You have to wear your Red Box T-shirt though.
So number 5, Double Dare or Double Dare 2000. Number 4, The Price is Right. Number 3, Match Game. Number 2, Xc or Takeshi's Castle. And number 1, Whose Line Is It Anyway?
All right, Tommy.
Drop.
Andrew, on the rebooted Whose Line Is It Anyway, has Drew Carey ever been on it?
He hasn't.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
He's too busy doing Drew Carey stuff.
Okay, that's it.
All right,
That's a
so before we officially wrap up, let's just get the quick opinions from you guys. Who do you think is going to win this week?
I think
And based off the list, I truly don't know, but based off history, Andrew, for some godforsaken reason,
I don't
he just has
don't
multiple
think
accounts.
Andrew. I think Andrew's going to be in last place this week. I think
hope
Whose
so.
Line
He
fans
deserves it.
might get him some dap, but I think he went a little bit too niche. I think this might be your week, Tommy.
I actually
The
agree. I
Price
think
is Right.
Yeah, but
Right, but
the
he
other
also did
picks,
like old.
I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm voting for me, obviously, but no, I think I'm going to be fighting for second place. If I had to guess, just based on the audience that we know is our audience, I feel like Thomas has the best shot.
Right.
But I don't know. Stranger things have happened. Actually, no. Stranger things have not happened than Thomas winning list night.
I think there's going to be about a day where I look like I'm going to win, and then Griffin's going to win, and I'm going to be in third. And I'm not going to be sad about
Before
it.
we
Be
sign off,
spraying
can we
champagne on the podium.
can we briefly talk about how during the voting for last episode's list, Griffin was falling behind and he tagged his family members to help boost him up. And
I knew they were going to vote for you.
Voted for either me or you, Thomas. None of them voted for Griffin.
I just wanted them to listen to the pod. I knew they weren't going to vote for me. I honestly, there were times last week where I fluctuated on voting for me. Like, I waited a while to vote for myself because I was like, is this genuinely the list that I like the most? And, of course, eventually I did realize, yes, it is. I'm the man.
I'm not saying that this podcast has lit a flame inside of me, just fueled by anger, rage, and disappointment. I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to heavily imply it.
All right. Well, on that note, great
So
week,
fans,
guys.
if you want me to be happy, vote for me.
If you want Thomas to be happy, vote for him. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at ListNight, on Instagram at list.night. We will be posting a poll on Twitter so that you're able to vote, but you can vote in YouTube comments, you can vote on Instagram, you can vote on Twitter, you can email us, you can send us a Snapchat with who you think won. We will accept any and all votes as long as we can prove that they were votes. And don't forget, we're now on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. Just search for List Night Podcast on either one of those platforms, and you can follow us. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe so that we get a little bit more validated each week. Tommy, Andrew, good to have you guys, as always. We'll see you next week.
And puked.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you want to see for the next video. We appreciate any and all support, and make sure you're also following us on Twitter and on Instagram. See you next time.